side, and they are. You think of the money they've spent. They need to. They shouldn't be lying and saying that they've done well to lose to Madrid, because there's no reason why they're not better than them, and there's no reason why they can't beat them.
Exactly.
So,
very interesting.
So do you want to go on to the next topic then? We'll go straight on to all things Tottenham. We've got a caller coming on in a few minutes. Our main talks are about Brad Friedel versus Hugo Lloris. Obviously, Hugo Lloris wasn't happy what's been going on. We've got Andre Villas-Boas as well. We're going to talk about what we think about his performance so far. Obviously, Cam's a Chelsea fan, so he knows a bit.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll go on about Brad Friedel versus Hugo Lloris. What's your opinion on the whole?
I don't know. I can't. Like I said, I can't understand this. You've got Brad Friedel's pushing on a bit now, but I think when it does get to the point when Brad Friedel is unable to play, and he's thinking about retiring, he doesn't want to play anymore, then you look for a new keeper. But for now, when I still think Brad Friedel could go on for another 2 or 3 years the way he's playing. He's been fantastic. He's always consistent, and it's always been frustrating as a Chelsea fan, because every time Chelsea seem to play him, Brad Friedel's always the one that's keeping the goals, from flying in, because he is one of their best players. But on one level I can see it, because like I said, it's only 2 or 3 more years. But Hugo Lloris is a first team, starting keeper, and he doesn't deserve to be on the bench every week. But you can't really balance it, can you? What do you think?
Cam, I've got a little question for you. How many games in a row do you think Brad Friedel's played consecutively?
I don't know.
Every single week he has played. Guess. Just give it a go on.
I think you've got Carlo Guadagnini there.
Have a guess.
I don't know. I'd say 81.
308 games.
That's
he has played 308 games consecutively without being injured, without having a lack of form. That really shows how consistent he is, and consistency is a key word with Brad Friedel, because he may be 41, but 2 of the saves he pulled off against...
he can still get out, can't he?
He's brilliant. But you're right, Hugo Lloris, for me, I think if anyone's to blame, I think it should be Villas-Boas, because they probably shouldn't have signed Lloris yet. I reckon at the end of the season, if they signed him, you could agree, because you can implement it quickly and start him off. But Brad Friedel started as a first teamer, and he's absolutely nailed it. He's been brilliant. There's no reason why he shouldn't be kicked out of the team, and I agree with Villas-Boas that it's his place to lose, and I'm not quite sure why Hugo Lloris didn't expect that. Yes, he plays for France. Yes, he's number 1, but you don't turn out to any club, regardless of how good you are. You don't just slot in and get rid of the player, especially if you're playing as well as Brad Friedel.
Yeah. Well, it's mistakes on both halves. Hugo Lloris should have really looked into it and seen that he was going to be on the bench with the likes of Brad Friedel there. But then again, Tottenham really should have probably waited and looked into another keeper in 2 or 3 years' time when Brad Friedel wants to hang the gloves up, as you would say.
They've got 2 adequate replacements in Cudicini and Gomez, and obviously I think Hugo Lloris probably is better than Brad Friedel, but you can't just kick someone out that's been playing for 308 games in a row, and he's so consistent.
He's not doing much wrong though, is he?
But the problem is, you'll find as soon as he makes one mistake, he will be straight out, and that's a shame. I think Hugo Lloris made his debut last night. I'm not quite sure how he did, but we might find out from the Tottenham fan who's going to be coming up right away. So now we've got a Tottenham fan on the show. His name is David. So would you like to introduce yourself, David?
Hi, David, freelance journalist from North London.
Fantastic. So, David, you're obviously going to be talking about Tottenham today. So, what do you think of this summer's signings then? You got some fantastic deals in there, didn't you?
Yeah, cracking. I think the obvious first name that will come to mind would be Dembele. Fantastic player. Had a great season with Fulham last year. Had a great start to the season with Fulham as well.
Yeah.
15 million. I know in today's market it's not a lot, but I think it's a good deal for a good player. I'm a big fan of Gylfi Sigurdsson. I think he will be a fantastic player for us. Vertonghen as well. I think he's an absolutely outstanding player.
Yeah.
As for Dempsey, I think for the money, 6 million.
Oh, of course.
He's I think you can't argue with that. Delighted Adebayor's in on a permanent deal, and obviously we've got the goalkeeper who hopefully will be the long-term number 1.
Yeah, you've got the team there. It's just about finding the chemistry now and AVB's ability to bring that team together and play, because you have really got a team there that should be competing for the top 4, if not 3. So
Vertonghen, Dembele, Sigurdsson, Lloris, Adebayor, they really are top 4 quality players. You can definitely get in the top 4.
I'm not sure so much about Dempsey.
Possibly.
I think we'll all say he had a good season last season at Fulham, and I think he's been a good player for Fulham, and I think he's a good player when you're a club like us, perhaps in the Europa League, and you need a bit of rotation, and big players need rest days, and Dempsey's a good player, and I think he will score goals for Tottenham.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if he is. When you look at the start of the season, and you think Tottenham need to get back in the top four. We did finish fourth last season. We forget that sometimes. Yeah. And bringing Dempsey in, he's probably not the player we thought is going to be the man to propel us to do that. Mind you, he's in the team. And he's got bags of experience. He's got bags of goals.
Yeah, Dave, what did you make of the Moutinho situation? Because quality player, AVB's saying guaranteeing to Tottenham fans, yeah, he's definitely going to call. And then it just doesn't. It just falls through. Are you disappointed that you didn't get him, or do you think you're quite happy with the squad as it is?
I think he probably is the missing link. I think he and I'd say maybe one other striker, I think were the two players that we needed to add to the group. I think they've got a fantastic group of players there, as we've discussed already. Yeah. I don't understand what went wrong with Moutinho. There's every single person you speak to, there's something different. Yeah. So you never really know what to make of Moutinho. I'd love to have had him as a Tottenham player. I think he's a marvellous footballer. He is the Modric replacement. But what we've got now is what we're going to have to deal with probably until the end of the season. Moutinho won't come to Tottenham in January. I could say that with a degree of confidence. Yeah. He'll want to stay with Porto, probably play in the Champions League for the rest of the season. Yeah, and then we'll have to see where we are come May, and hopefully Tottenham will once again be a Champions League side.
I mean, the thing is, your midfield is very strong this year. You may have lost Modric, you've lost Van der Vaart, but you've adequately replaced those. And Dempsey, like you said, he may not add much to the group, but he's another body, and he got 15 goals from midfield, around 15 goals, which is a great return.
And he plays in that role that Van der Vaart filled in, and obviously Sigurdsson scored bags of goals in a loan spell at Swansea. I think the midfield is outstanding. I think you look at the fact that we've still got Scott Parker to come back from injury. I mean, a lot of Spurs fans don't rate Jake Livermore, but he played 38 games last season. He's a big part of what AVB wants to build. And I think, like I say, we've got a lot of games. We need the big squad. Tom Huddleston, great to see him back in the team off the back of his long injury layoff. So the midfield is, for the last few years now, has been Tottenham's strongest area, which is strange to think, seeing as Tottenham of the early noughties had no midfield at all. Yeah. So it's good that we've got the competition for places, but at the end of the day, we need someone that's going to put the ball in the net, and we've got two outstanding strikers that could do that. But like I said, definitely. I think Tottenham needed one more.
A lot of experience up front, isn't there? Yeah.
What do you make of the start to the season and the booing? Because having a lot of rotation in the squad, it's quite sad to see booing already. I mean, 3 games in, and the players were being booed off the pitch. What do you think of that?
Booing's ridiculous. Yeah. AVB's been there for 3 games. I know he wasn't most people's choice, but that's what we've got. That's what we're left with for now. He's going to be there long term. He's hopefully going to be there till the end of the season. I'd like to say he'll be there till the end of the season. I think the booing is ridiculous. I think every manager needs time to bring what they need. I agree it's disappointing to ship late goals in all 4 of the opening games so far this season, but thankfully the one against Reading wasn't
costly,
detrimental to anything, and it was a good win. That one last weekend. So I think what he needs now, he's got the win. He's got a derby this weekend with QPR. I think that's what he needs really. The crowd were always up for a derby game, regardless of who it's against. Obviously, you want the bragging rights, and I think if we can just hold their nerve, go on and win that, it will be a tough game. QPR, they've had a very difficult start to the season, but I think I like what Hughes is attempting to build there. And it'll be a tough game, but if Tottenham can come away with the 3 points, I think the season has kick-started now, and hopefully we can go on a very good run, and we'll see.
I mean, if you get the 3 points there, that is a great win, because QPR, they really troubled Chelsea last week. They've brought in some great signings. Obviously, they need to gel, but if you get those 3 points, you'll really look to kick on.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect Tottenham to get 3 points at home to QPR. Exactly. That's just how it is. You look at the 2 teams on paper. Tottenham have got a vastly more experienced squad, particularly at this level. I'd say we've got more quality there, and I'd say obviously there's more internationals there as well, which obviously always helps. QPR brought in 12 names this summer, and they need a bit of time to gel. But like I say, I like Mark Hughes. I like what he's trying to build. I think he was very unlucky at Manchester City. He did very well at Fulham. He's a good manager. He was excellent at Blackburn. You know what he can do with the right group of players, and I think he's got that. I think he's looking to build. But for the time being, they're still a fairly new squad, and we haven't made as many changes. So you think that we're a bit more prepared for such a fixture. But you never know. It's a derby game, and derby games are very strange. We've seen some strange results in these games before. I thought Chelsea were going to wipe the floor with QPR last weekend. Any other day, I think they would have done. So I was surprised.
I'd really fear for AVB if you didn't get the result that you need there, 3 points, because the crowd will not be happy if you don't get it. Like you said, you do expect to beat teams like QPR, irrelevant of the derby factor, because that does skew results.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd say to put him under pressure this early in the season is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know he had a bad spell at Chelsea, and that's obvious. It's well talked about. All Spurs fans talk about it. We talk about it in the build-up to every single game. I am a regular. I know this myself. And I say the same things every single week. But the guy needs time. You can't. I know the 3 home games that we've had, including the QPR game, were 3 games. Look at the start of the season, you think that's 9 points. Yeah. Football doesn't work like that. West Brom have made a very good start to the season. Norwich will get better as the season goes on. QPR will get better as the season goes on. I expect Tottenham to win on Sunday off the back of the Reading game. Yeah. But the thing is, Tottenham are a scalp for clubs like QPR now. They will go and look to defend and then look to hit Tottenham on the break. Yeah. That's the way that it is. Since we became a club that got into the Champions League, finishes over the last 3 years 4, 5 and 4. You become a scalp after that. You become a team that clubs are going to go to and limit the damage if they can, and then look to hit you on the break. That's just the way football works. And we've got to learn to find a way to break these teams down and see them off.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on to a different topic now, we're going to go on to your keeper situation, actually, David. What do you think of this whole Lloris Friedel? We were talking about it just a minute ago before you came on, and I was a little bit confused about why Tottenham have brought Lloris in right now when Friedel was having a fantastic few seasons. And he's still on form and consistent. Like James said earlier, 308 consecutive games for Tottenham. So he's definitely not lost it yet, and I feel sorry for Lloris because he is a first team keeper, and he's on the bench at the moment.
It's interesting. I saw an interview with Brad Friedel recently, and he was very honest in that interview, and he said that when he was brought in, he was a stopgap. He knew that anyway. I think all Spurs fans knew that. He's 41 years old, and he was brought in whilst we looked for a long-term number 1. That's just how it is. Yeah. Brad Friedel knew that he had 2 years left, probably as a professional footballer, maybe 3, as maybe that last year would be as a number 2 goalkeeper. And it was a very shrewd signing when Harry brought him in because he was free, he was on a free transfer. And then, like I say, that gave us 2 years to look for another goalkeeper. We found him. I was at the Lazio game last night. Lloris looked very comfortable. I think he will. I think he is an outstanding goalkeeper. I think he will be our long-term number 1. Yeah. But in the meantime, Brad Friedel is our number 1. He's an incredible. He is an outstanding goalkeeper. I think he probably knows that it's one mistake and he's out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's the sad state of affairs that's the case. He's such a good goalkeeper, but it's great for us knowing that we've got 3 outstanding goalkeepers at the club, and we've got Gomez as well. And I know he's a bit erratic, but he's pulled off the odd worldie here and there, and he has the odd great game here and there. Let's not forget he was incredible in the season we finished 4th. A big part of why he finished 5th the season after, but that's for another time. So we've got 4 goalkeepers at the club who think that they should be number 1s. So. It's a good situation to be in, and I know that we've got a long-term number 1 now. It means that we don't have to spend over the odds on a goalkeeper in 12 months.
I mean, what do you think about Lloris' reaction? I mean, there's been lots of speculation that he wasn't happy being told he was second choice, but surely I think that you don't come into a club and expect to instantly turn over a keeper that's played 308 consecutive games. It doesn't really show a lot about his personality if that's what it is. I mean, you come to a club, you have to fight for your position. What do you think?
It does show a sign of arrogance, but you're forgetting he's the French captain. But also, he's going to need an adapting period. People forget that goalkeepers need it just as much as